Alright, let's jump right into this because we've got. I say a lot, but it probably won't be that much. We do have a lot to cover, and frankly, my opinion kind of boomeranged on me while playing this last episode. Alright, so Life is Strange episode 4 was garbage. It was pretty bad. Plot holes, inconsistencies, incredibly stupid writing. It's almost phenomenal how kind of inept it was. And I'm still at the point where I'm saying the writers are still pretty inept. In the hands of a good writer, this would have probably been one of the best video games of all time. It really would. It really could have been amazing, but it was in the hands of some incompetent people. So here we are. The original sentiment was, while I was playing this, there was a lot of things I didn't like about it, but it wasn't objective problems in the narratives, and it wasn't so bad that like I was sitting there angry or upset about it. I was just sitting there going, you could have done that better. This could have been better. This could have been better. Well, that changed once we got to the ending. Because it, in fact, really did shit the bed. It really did. I don't even know how that... It's not colloquialism. Yeah, I think it's colloquialism. It doesn't matter. I don't know how that saying came into being, but it fits. It fits. But real quick, I'm gonna go into a bit nitpicky real quick, showing you how much I could entail this entire series if I really wanted to. Right, currently I am actually in a class called History of Photography, and it's exactly as boring as and as informative as it might sound. History of photography. We're learning about photography. It's hilarious because that speech that's right in the very beginning of the game, we're served that speech I think 8 different times in this game. Like, it's that same speech over and over again with different things going on in the medium or in the intermediate of it. But it's kind of hilarious to me. I now have a lot of context for that speech, which it was funny because I completely forgot about it. I completely forgot about that speech. Really, really did. And in the history of photography class, guess what? We learned about photography. We learned about literally the history of photography. The first thing it was light and printed image. It's not a photograph, but it's just a light created image. Was it 1826, 27? One of those two. I think it's like it's unknown when it is, but that's when the first image was created. Whereas the daguerreotype was first created in 1839, I believe it was. I'm pretty sure it was 39 because the first talotype, which was the first literal photographic process that was created, was actually created 4 years before that in 1835. But no, the daguerreotype. So when he comes up and he asks, what was the first photographic process, or I can't, maybe he didn't say that, but I don't know. He said what was the first process, and portrait process or anything stupid thing like that, and I immediately knew it was the daguerreotype, and then the option came up to say the daguerreotype, and I was like, okay, it says the daguerreo's process, but that's stupid. So I was just sitting there laughing at it, because like, you do know, because the daguerreotype didn't make photographs. It imprinted, well, at least not how we call photographs. It just imprinted an image onto a plate, and depending on what time the daguerreotype was actually created, because the daguerreotype had like a 50-year lifespan on it, it depended on what plates those were. But they were always unique images, and they were never photographs. So the fact that speech that were given by a person, but the fact that speech was given by someone who was supposed to be someone who was well versed in art and photographic history and the photographic process of it, it's just funny to me that they would mistake that hard. Whatever, doesn't matter. Like I said, I just got that context, I guess 2 months ago, really. I just started getting that context, and it was just hilarious that I found that. Was like, boy, was that just a stupid thing. I was sitting there like, because I originally hated it because of the tone of it and how it was presented, and mostly that was because that's how a lot of things do get presented, and it makes me angry. And then now it's like I have another reason to hate it because it's just incorrect. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. That's me being nitpicky. But there was a bunch of other crap in there. All right, so I'll just talk about what I liked about it real quick, and then we'll hit heavy into what I hated and why I'm upset at the moment about why the writers chose to be incompetent rather than be intelligent. Which it started off being, oh, you really you really shit the bed, and then it's like, oh no, you're just a bunch of assholes who shit the bed and then just were really big assholes. But whatever, don't matter. All right, so I really liked. I was actually super excited about this when it first downloaded. It was one of those things where I wanted to play it so bad. I had other things to do, so I couldn't actually jump on it the very first day it was available. But the second I got timed, which was just today, which you don't know what day that is because I'm dumb, and I could upload this at any time. But today I just got done beating this, and I was so excited for it. I was so happy, and when I started playing it, it was there. It was good. And the reason why is because, like I said, Life is Strange takes a very, very heavy influence from The Girl Who Left Her Time, and a couple other things too. With this episode, and this is what I was hoping it was going for, what it would have gone for, and it kind of did. I was hoping it would really take a page out of The Cat Lady. The Cat Lady is another like kind of point and click adventure game. It's not really point and click, but whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a point and click adventure game, dialogue heavy, about some really messed up stuff. And it was so good. I absolutely loved The Cat Lady both times. I think I beat it twice, and I watched an LP of it, and all three times I loved every second of it. It was so good. So, I think I'm pretty sure they took a lot of inspiration from The Cat Lady, because this kind of happened in The Cat Lady a little bit. I mean, not with the time travel powers, but it kind of happened in The Cat Lady. And it definitely was going for very similar things that happened in The Cat Lady. Oh well. But one of the major problems, it didn't go full Cat Lady. It really didn't go deep. It just kind of went a little... It tipped its toe in, which was good enough for me to enjoy it, but not good enough for me to, praise it as because for the most part, this is a fairly mainstream game, considering, because The Cat Lady, that's an indie game. That's a game that very few people have played. Relatively few people have played. And so, with an indie game, you can take all the artistic licenses you want. You can kind of go anywhere you want with it. You can have any kind of expression you want with it. Because if people do get upset, they're probably big babies, and they're ignoring the fact that that's what art does. It makes you upset. It's supposed to motivate you. It's supposed to imprint on you. It's supposed to do things for you, with you, and all that fun jazz. All right. And it didn't... This could have went harder. I wish it would have went harder, because I would have maybe really, really liked it, but whatever. But no, Cat Lady went super hard, and it's really, really good. This kind of tipped itself into the whole mindset and insanity that comes with being a psychopath and being a serial killer and all that fun jazz. It could have went harder, it didn't, but whatever. But up until the ending, I still enjoyed every aspect of it. I loved the build-up. I was going along with the story, and I loved every aspect of it. It was so good. I really did appreciate it. And even though I'm going to spend the next 25, 30 minutes just destroying the absolute crap, absolutely calling out the artistic ability of the writers for this stupid game, I still think it is one of the best written games of the year, and probably the last couple years too. Of course, that's not counting Metal Gear Solid 5, because I haven't played it yet, but from all of the Metal Gear Solid games I've played and how much I've liked them all, the writing's probably not very good. Let's just... Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe the writing's not very good. But whatever. Ignoring that little tangent. Yeah, so I did disagree with some of the things that happened, but they were minor scale, and they were more subjective. They were a lot more like taste-wise, where I said I wouldn't have written it that way, or I would have written it other way. And also, the Cat Lady, the woman in that game starts out kind of like a normal human being, and then she kind of grows into understanding her position. Like, she has to deal with all this really awful stuff, just kind of like much worse than what Max goes through, but at least it's the kind of the same. And eventually, I can't remember her name. I think her name's Susan. But eventually, she kind of becomes this badass where she just doesn't care about what other people think, and it's just like she knows what she's like. She's dealt with this crap, so she's no longer reacting in the exact same way. Whereas Max, 5 episodes into this, and she's still kind of pulling the "oh, I'm a kid, I can't," like it. At this point, for me, this would have started happening midway through episode 3, to where the character starts understanding their position, and they would start talking and acting in a way that would not make sense unless they had the powers or whatever the thing that was going on. Like, they would start developing a personality that's kind of like, because when people tend to start acting a certain way when a lot of stuff happens to them over and over again. You eventually will change due to your environment. Like, if you do a lot of cocaine, you'll start getting accustomed to the fact that you're doing a lot of cocaine, and then stuff changes because of that. Like this, the more you have to fight these people, the more you get guns pulled at you, the more this and that. And the fact that you have time travel abilities, it should go to your head. And not necessarily in an egotistical way, but it should change the way you think and view things. Like, you should be sitting there. I know I've probably said this much time, but still. In the cat lady, it does change to the point where she's like, "Oh, you're gonna kill me? I don't care." And then in the other part, and then in this one, she up until the very end, it's even at the very end, it's like, "Oh no, you're still acting that way." But whatever. All right, but yeah, still one of the best written games. Really wish they wouldn't. Episode 4 was just an awful. I was hoping this would be better, so that way it would be like, hey, this is still a great game. It's just that episode 4 was really, really bad. But no, really, this is a mediocre game. And episode 4, and kind of 5 was really bad. Episode 4 was just awful. Episode 4 is garbage tier. While episode 5, I don't know. We'll talk about it when I get past the ending. And well, actually, technically, everything's kind of coerced together. There's 2 major points. The immediate build-up for the ending was really, really badly done. Like, really horribly badly done. And then the actual ending was appropriately well done, but I've got a lot of artistic, professional, and a lot of other reasons for hating it. Like, I was just phenomenally upset about the arrogance and the pretension and just a lot of things. Like, I just can't believe someone would... whatever, don't matter. But no, yeah. So, if you don't know, I don't know the name of the company that's developing it, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, the same people that made Remember Me are the same people that made Life is Strange. Which makes a lot of sense, especially when you're looking at this at on a technical level of writing and capabilities, and on a kind of message thing, like the artistic merit and the artistic intention of the developers. Like, if you're looking at that, like, they're so similar. Because Remember Me, I defended that. A lot of people didn't like Remember Me. I loved Remember Me. I mean, its combat was a bit stiff and stilted. Some of the things were kind of stupid, but like, it was still a really, really fun game. I loved it up until the very end. Like, because I was defending so many bad decisions. I was defending so many because it was such an interesting and unique thing. It was such a new concept, and it did so much, and it did a lot of stuff. Like, a lot of people who critiqued that game, I think, did it disservice. Like, they critiqued it too harshly because, I don't know, maybe because it was a female protagonist and all gamers are sexist, which that's very well possibility, though highly unlikely. But still, I've seen worse logic being passed as actual fact. But maybe it's just the gamers are sexist. Maybe the combat wasn't fluid enough for them, and they just I'm not gonna. Because some people do that where they don't. If the gameplay is fun, then that's all that matters to them. Nothing else matters. And like I said, the funny thing was I actually played Devil May Cry right before, DMC Devil May Cry, the remake. And going from that game, which having that aggressively fluid combat and really awesome fun combat and all that fun jazz, to Remember Me was it was a culture shock to be nonetheless. Like, it was really awful. Like, it was one of those things where I had such a hard time getting into the combat for that game, and it was because I just got from Devil May Cry. But whatever. But I think that's what it is. And then what they did was, just like with Life is Strange, they just shit the bed in the ending of Remember Me. Um, Hopefully I remember what I was going to say about this, because it was really important, and it came off horribly, and like, not horribly, but incredibly intelligent in my brain when I first thought about this, which is why I ought to do this stuff as whenever I can and not think about it when I can. But Remember Me, it poses the ending for its the ending for Remember Me kind of poses this, not methodology but ideology, and kind of, it has this message to it that while technically what it's saying isn't wrong, it's how it's saying it, and how it's saying it is rather demeaning and insulting. It's kind of like saying, it's kind of like someone kind of telling you and saying something to you about, like, how Hitler wasn't that bad. Now, of course, if you do look through history and you do all that fun jazz and you actually know your factual information, that person's right. Hitler is technically not that bad. He did a lot of horrible things. He murdered a lot of horrible people. No, he murdered a lot of people horribly, and he led a lot of things, and he had a hand in all that stuff. Very, very true. But on the genocidal maniac, like, scale, he's not even remotely that bad. Because there's people who are much, much, much worse. But it's the way you say it. When you say Hitler's not that bad, it sounds like you're justifying Hitler's actions, and that may not be your point, but you have to remember that the words you speak, the literal words that are coming out of you in any form of expression, is only part of dialogue. It's only part of a conversation, because you have body language, you have emphasis, you have all these different things that kind of go into conversations, which is why texting and all that stuff has such a harmful effect, because it's the online de-inhibition effect, and all these different actual, like, scientific concepts. It's like, it really does mess with us. That's why you need all the context clues and all that stuff. So, and I'm not saying what they're saying, what was someone saying as bad as Hitler wasn't that bad. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am trying to get across is the fact that how that main character, what that main character said and how she said it only fits rationally in the manner that it was said, not the actual, like I said, not the actual words, not the actual meaning behind it. There is valid interpretation in that, but how it's actually spoken only makes sense in the context of the video game, the manufactured setting for that title. What was spoken in that thing only makes sense in those terms, really. And it's like, you can't preach to me about the effects, like, it's like, because the main thing about Remember Me is the fact that you would basically, everyone would be rewriting their memories to give them only positive memories, and it was like some kind of weird high thing where everyone felt better because you kept putting positive memories in your head, which kind of makes sense because, our brains work on chemicals, and the happier you are, the more, not epinephrine, but like, serotonin and all the chemicals in your brain, the happier you are, the better it feels, and it's all that, and it becomes a drug. And it's like, the message was there, but you had to actually look for the message. You had to, cut away all the BS on top of the message and kind of pack away, all the really stupid stuff they missed when saying it. And it doesn't really matter, but because I could have gotten into it, I should probably get into it now, but it doesn't matter. We're not talking about Remembering, we're talking about Life is Strange. This equates to Life is Strange because they're made by the same developers, and they do the exact same mistake they did from Remember Me, which, one, I find funny, and two, I guess I should have seen coming. Alright, but, that's what it is, and it just shit the bed with that. Whereas the actual thing, like I said, for the most part, it was the ending cutscene that really just got it for me, man. It was, the ending cutscene for Remember Me was just that bad. It was, hilariously bad. And it's it made me so angry, because I was I couldn't believe that you would, say that, It's like learning that your best friend would, say something racist about black people, It's like, oh, they're just spear-chucking niggers, and you're, looking at your best friend, and you're damn, dude, why you gotta do that to me, But that doesn't matter. Alright, so Life is Strange. We go through the last 5 episodes I put up about this, where I talked in length. What is like? It's got to be up to like 2 hours now about Life is Strange. I don't know. No, it wasn't 5. It was 4 because episode 1 and 2 were together. So 1, 2, episodes 1 and 2. Then we had episode 3. Then we had episode 4 part 1 and episode 4 part 2. So this is the 5th episode. Okay, now we're on there. Well, Life is Strange does the exact same thing, except for worse, because it still does that kind of same thing. Actually, it literally does that exact same thing. So no, I had my points problem. So the very first problem is that, like, the message it was getting across was messed up, but whatever. Okay, so we're building up to not Chloe. It was Max. We're building up to the fact that Max is trying to get rid of the storm. Max is trying to save, she's gotten to the point where she's like at her last ditch effort, and she's trying to save Chloe, and she's trying to do all this other stuff, and she technically succeeds. And then she's like, oh, the storm's all my fault. And it's like, oh, where'd you get that from? Your butt? And it's true. She got it from her butt because the writers got it from their butts. But she does that, and then essentially she does it. It still works. Everything's working fine. Everything is playing well. It's all making sense, and I'm not questioning anything. I'm not ripping my hair out in frustration. Everything's moving along. Then she does this thing where, like, she blacks out, and she goes through this nightmare. It's like the chapter's literally called Nightmare. And boy, did it do things that I didn't like. Okay, so, at this point, the bad guy, which I won't get into, I'll talk about spoilers, but the spoilers won't even affect this. But the bad guy's dead. If you played all of it, you know, the bad guy's in fact dead at this point, so we don't have to worry about that. But she starts having these weird hallucinations, and she's dealing with all this stuff. And it's just... it's so bad. Like, it's trying to build all this tension. Like, that's what it does. The very first part of this episode, or volume, whatever it is, episode 5, it builds up a lot of tension. Every now and then it'll cut it down with something stupid, but it's building the tension anyways, and it's still doing a good job. The last 2 chunks of that episode, it guts that tension harder than anything else. Like, it's funny. Like, I'm sitting there laughing at a lot of things. Like, things I should not be laughing at, but it's that funny. There's a point... one of the worst things... I don't even know how to get into this, because it's like... it is a completely subjective thing. Like, this isn't like... I can't talk about... because it's like, if it would have been handled by someone else, it would have been handled by a more competent writer. This could have been good because I've seen it worked in other movies and other video games. I can't remember, but I'm pretty... like, I almost felt like this was ripping something else off. I said it, and I can't remember what it was, but I said it while I was playing. I'm like, this is kind of ripping something else off, whatever. But there's several different points in this, and it's like, it's trying to get you emotionally connected to the scenario that's happening, but it's just... there's so many things undercutting it. At one point, you get a bunch of text messages from people, and it's like... they're all saying really messed up stuff. Like the Chloe that's in the alternate reality, who was hit by a car and paralyzed. Whether you kill her or not, she yells at you for doing those actions. Like, I didn't kill her, so she's like, you wouldn't even help me. Like it's like, and I'm sitting there laughing at it because it's like the first person you get a phone call from. Like, the first person you get a text message from is Chloe's father, which is... I can't remember what his name was. But he says, in the text message reads, thank you for letting me die, or thank you for killing me, or something like that. And it's like, it was... I don't know if it was just me or what, but it was just... I found it so much more funny. Like, it was hilarious to me. So much more funny. It was so hilarious to me that I just was breaking out laughing, because I thought it was so stupid and cheesy and not scary at all. And it was like, I'm just sitting there like, and because it wasn't, and then like there's a bunch of other text messages from a bunch of different people, and it was like none of it was any good, and I just, oh man, it's just, like, I don't know how to explain it, and there's all this, for some magical reason, in the midst of this nightmarish thing, Chloe gets in her brain not Chloe, but Max gets in her brain that Chloe isn't her friend. And it's this weird thing, and it comes out of nowhere. It's nowhere has it been established that Chloe, like, there's a lot of things that have been established in the writing wise that Chloe may not, because she's so desperate to get revenge for Rachel and to find Rachel and all these different things. She's so desperate for all these different things. But never ever have I even was I even doubting from any of the writing that I even remember, that Chloe didn't like Max, that they were no longer friends, you know. And so we have to deal with this period of time in which, like, Chloe, like, Max is like questioning all these different things, and it's just, it's amateurishly written. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, I mean, it's fan fiction level of bad. It really is, because it's like I shouldn't talk about this, but the guy was a douche anyways, and I was trying to be nice to him, and he snubbed me, but whatever. He wrote this fan fiction. He wrote this movie, and it was about him getting back at his ex-girlfriend, and he basically tries to kill himself. Like, this is his movie. He tries to kill himself, and then he ends up like he's dead, but he's metaphysical, and he's walking around as a ghost, and everyone's trying to he overhears everyone's conversation, and then everyone's worried about him that he tried killing himself, and then he basically in his work, it was, I don't know how to really describe this that well to you, but it's like in fan fiction when the main character gets all the good stuff to him, good stuff to him. It's like when the main character, all kinds of great things happen to that person, after he killed himself. He got hired into the job he wanted to get hired in. His photographs got accepted, and the guy's a photographer. Yeah. The guy was a photographer, and his I think his photographs got accepted somewhere, and his ex-girlfriend came running back to him, and it was just it was this one thing. It was like this sappy, disgusting level of writing that was just so, fan fiction is the best way to express it, where it's it was that kind of writing, which I hope I kind of impressed upon someone like that. It's unimaginable to me, how to describe this, because it was just oh, Chloe doesn't like me. It was that kind of level of whining, where at this point when she confronts herself, she starts crying a little bit, and it's maybe if we hadn't just almost been murdered by a psychopathic killer, almost maybe if we had, not watched people get murdered a bunch and then try to save everything, maybe if we haven't dealt with a bunch of really, really hard crap, mentally and emotionally hard crap, maybe I'd be able to have this where Max is having a super weak moment. Okay, I could kind of see that. Up until this nightmarish thing happening, Max was being a badass. She literally saved, if you did it, which I did, there was I don't know, there's 5 guys you can save. There's 5 guys you can save in the middle of the storm, and then you have to prevent an entire building from blowing up because it catches some fire, catches some other thing fire, and it just blows up a bunch of stuff, and that's something you have to do. So even if you are the laziest gamer and you're just going straight for the story, you're not trying to experience what this game is trying to get you to do, you still save 8 people's lives because of your actions. And hopefully you've saved more than that, because they're kind of along the way, or you're a horrible murderer. Who knows? It was just it's this moment in writing. It's I don't know how to explain it to you, but it was so painful to sit through. It was so childishly written, and it was so, I don't even know how to explain it. I really don't, because it was whiny. It was contrived. It was desperately contrived conflict and drama that, instead of coming off as, I don't know, actual meaningful and had any kind of relevance on the plot or anything like that, it just sounded whiny. So you mix 2 things I don't like, which is whiny, crybaby, pointless stuff, which I can kind of see that working, but it's the pointless. those things mixed together, and mixing super contrived crap, and putting them together, and it was just I couldn't deal with it. It was just, and then I don't know. I guess I'm gonna move on because it was just a lot of pointless, stupid stuff right at the end of that episode, and then we hit the thing that made me stop cringing and laughing, because I was cringing super hard at this, because at the fanfiction level of writing, and I was laughing really hard at some of the fanfiction level of writing and some of it other things. It was just because it was trying to be this heartfelt thing and whatever, but it's like, yeah. But then we get to the next part, which is still technically, I would still argue, is technically on a technical level done well, because I still felt some of the emotion even though I was done with the game at that point. And this is spoilery, so if you haven't played this game, and if you don't want to play this game, I mean, if you haven't played this episode yet, and you don't want to play, and if you and you want to play this episode, I would suggest not listening to the next few minutes. Yeah, I'd probably stop it right now, because then however long this is going to be, it's going to be me talking about the one choice that actually matters in this episode. Yeah, the one choice that actually matters. But whatever, it doesn't even matter. But okay, so spoiler warning right now. There you go. It didn't earn this. It really didn't. It didn't earn this choice. For several reasons. The first point is, like, this is something else. Like, a lot of different movies kind of do this exact same thing, where they try to have the melodramatic and really, not melodramatic, but like the really depressing and sad and happy ending at the same time, where it's like, it's really hard to explain, but like a lot of movies do this. Like The One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, this movie did it, and it also didn't deserve that ending. It happens a lot. Like, if a movie or a video game or a story or novel or anything is exceptionally well done, you could do whatever you want with it. Because it doesn't matter how I feel at the end of that. Even if I'm upset about that, I still have to respect the artistic and not art integrity, but the artistic decisions being made. I understand? I hate it when I tend to hate it depending on which it is. I like a game to be depressed. Like, I like a story to be depressing if it's depressing all the way through. Like, no happy, just grind me into the ground with it. I love that. If it's a traditional mainstream kind of thing, which Life is Strange is very much that, have it grinding, really bad, good ending. Do that. Or you could have a really happy game and have it be a horribly bad ending. You can do whatever you want. But the fact is, you've got to earn. But if you want to do if you want to do that combined thing where you're kind of lazy and you take both routes and all this other fun stuff, you've got to do it. Not that it doesn't have to do it right. It's that the entire thing has to be a well packaged thing. I'm not going to respect. Like I said, I don't respect the one who flies over the cuckoo nest, because it didn't earn its ending. For me, at least. Maybe it earned it for other people. And just as with that, Life is Strange didn't earn this ending. And so here we go. Oh, that was the first thing. So it didn't earn it. And the second thing is, the rationale and the reasoning behind this is profoundly stupid. I don't know. I don't even know how to get into this. But apparently what happened was Max... Okay, so my prediction, which is the town gave her the superpowers, which would have been so much better. Why didn't they do that? Also, I can't remember what it was. But like something I talked about in these long lecture videos, they actually, and I said that this should have happened. It did happen in this, and I can't remember what it was, but that's the problem of going off script with this. But whatever, it don't matter. But no, it didn't earn it, and the entire point of this game was completely undermined by the very, very first thing. Like, okay, the entire video game, Life is Strange, is an exercise in extreme contrivity. It's such a pointless, unrational game. If you don't remember, and I might be misremembering it, so please tell me if I am misremembering it, but I'm pretty sure I got this. The very first thing that happens in Life is Strange is we see the entire plant, like the entire town being destroyed. Then Max wakes up. Wow, that was a crazy dream. She sees her friend getting shot, doesn't recognize her, but sees Chloe get shot. Then she develops time travel abilities. She then tries to save her friend, she saves her friend. That's the order, and that's the sequence of that timeline that happened. She developed time travel ability, like, she got a premonition about the time travel, the effects of her time travel, then gained that time travel, and then used that time travel. It's an exercise in self-fulfilling prophecies that is so, like to write yourself this aggressively into a corner is kind of unheard of for me. I mean, it's not an unprofessional thing, because it's not like this is not something I would see in a fan fiction. Fan fictions tend to not get to even this level of computation, so it's at least a slightly more intelligent mess up. But it's just, so I'm not going to call it like fan fiction writing problems. But the fact is, you literally made your game pointless and stupid, because had Max not seen the premonition, had the environment, had the literal chaos theory butterfly stupid thing, if it had not, like, done something to her, like, it, like, because the butterfly kind of flew in a way, and it was like, it hit her back behind that place, like, the entire game wouldn't have happened. I don't know, my brain is, like, frying on this, because it's like, it's trying to, it's like I'm on my computer and I just hit a paradox. Alright, so here's the thing, here's how it ended up. So, literally all of the, I always thought that the environment gave her the powers in order to do something. Like, it was supposed to stop the storm, or it was supposed to stop the murders or killing, like something supernatural. Something gave her abilities for a very specific reason. That's what my guess was. You don't understand how much in these games, in these episodes, kind of hints at that, at least. Turns out all those hints mean absolutely nothing, and they're completely retarded because, and I want to remind you this, because the environment didn't do it. Turns out Max's powers caused everything else. So literally, Max's powers gave her a premonition. That premonition then came true because Max then developed those powers and then used those powers to save Chloe. That's it. It's such a circular, I don't even, like, it's not even a circular logic loop. It's like a weird spiral thing that doesn't make any sense. How? Like, that's a paradox. That's a time paradox. I know it's a time travel video game, but the fact is, for the most part, the time stuff is consistent. Yeah, it does introduce that thing randomly, which if it would have done that in episode 1, if it would have done that in episode 1, oh man, if it would have done that in episode 1, like the whole photograph time travel thing, if it would have done that in episode 1, at least I could have said, at least it would have been established and I couldn't argue with it. But the fact is, since they added that in episode 3, it came and it was a sore thumb out of place. It's not so bad now after going through episode 4 and 5, because you understand how integral that was to the plot. But still, even then, arguing, I'm kind of getting off topic here, but even then, arguing, it's the fact that it almost seems like this thing was not written ahead of time. Like, this tastes like Ruby at this point. Because how incompetent that ending was, how pointless and stupid that ending was, both the really, really dumb fanfiction-y part and just the effing everything up because you're ruining everything. How pointless and contrived all that stuff is. It just... It tastes like something that we would see with Ruby, you know, with Rooster Teeth. People who didn't write the script ahead of time, or modified it heavily in the middle, which is stupid. You have a linear game that is literally story-based. Finish the writing first. It's not that hard. And unless you're listening to people like me, which you're not because you kept adding continuity errors after I kept telling you not to add those continuity errors, whatever. You added plot holes, you keep adding plot holes, but it doesn't matter. Alright, so here's the only meaningful choice. Here's the only meaningful choice because this choice literally changes everything. Literally changes everything. Well, actually, no. Let me change that. There's a choice earlier on. No, there's not a choice. There's a plot device thing. There's a thing that happens in the plot. It's not a plot device. There's a thing that happens in a plot that literally changes everything. So all your actions for the last 15 minutes of the game don't matter because you went back in time and modified it. It's the same problem we had at the end of episode 3. And then you're stuck with the main choice, which is just one of two things, which is sacrifice Chloe. So you kill Chloe and the town goes back to normal. Or you don't kill Chloe and something happens. I don't know. I've only gone to the sacrifice Chloe one because I thought that might be the better ending. I don't know. But I just like it doesn't earn it because it's this like mournful. It's this thing that draws on. The ending draws on for too long. It just goes and goes and goes, and it's improper that way. It really should have just been. It should have been more concise because it's just like Chloe's died and they do the photograph thing again. Which at this point we've seen the photograph thing like 5 times I think technically in this episode. Like at that point it was getting really old. It's like just show us really fast. It's boom. We can see. We can read. Boom boom. And then some of them didn't change anything. And I was like what? Whatever. It went through. But the entire point was the fact that you weren't meant to save Chloe's life. So then we have to understand that this game is so far stuck up its butt, it makes BioShock Infinite make sense. Because the ending for BioShock Infinite was so convoluted because what happened was it introduced time travel to a multi-dimensional travel game. And a game whose entire mechanics are based around opening rifts and dimensions and going to another dimension in which different things happen, just suddenly put time travel into things. And that was, at least it was understandable. It was just retarded because you don't do that. You don't mix and choose. And if you do mix and choose, you mix and choose from the beginning. Self-consistency. No matter how stupid, no matter how contrived, no matter how weird time travel things or any kind of mechanical thing is, if it's self-consistent and it works. Because guess what? It's a matter of fiction. You're not going to talk about how Discworld doesn't make any sense, because if you do, you're retarded because you don't understand how art works, okay? Discworld is insane. Discworld is a flat world on top of 4 elephants riding a gigantic turtle in space, okay? That's what that world is. You need to accept that, and if you can't accept that, then don't read because you're not allowed to read. The BioShock Infinite's ending was retarded. It's not retarded because it was at least done well. It was written, at least the ending that I played through, was written well. It did establish it, it was attempting to make you feel things, and it did it well enough considering how much I hated it. But the fact that the fact that Max's powers itself is creating all these problems goes against established continuity. Maybe, I don't know. I guess I have to go back and replay it and to see where all these, because every time we see the stupid deer, every time we see those things, it's like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe every time they show the environmental stuff, so every time we see the butterfly, every time we see the deer, every time we see all these things, it was a sign that, that Chloe was about to die and that she was meant to die. Though I know at least the very first time we see the butterfly, that thing is what started off the entire thing. But maybe all the deer stuff was like nature saying you need to fix time, whatever. But it's kind of hard to understand that. You would have to go through this and look very closely at that. It just makes no sense that her time powers did that, but whatever. Again, like I said, she had a premonition about the effects of her time powers, then she got the time powers, and then she used the time powers. Oh, man. See, this could have been fixed so easily, but again, it just creates weird things. Really, it does. And once again, well, another thing is that the blood thing, her bleeding out of her nose, also doesn't make any sense because it doesn't add up now. Nothing. Because if it's her powers that's creating all these continuity, like it's creating all this disturbance and stuff, then why would that be hurting her? Then shouldn't the environment thing be consequence enough? No, of course not, because I'm pretty sure there was a very, very massive tonal shift. It was almost as if in the middle of episode 3 they changed completely. I don't know. All I know is that we literally have some kind of weird time paradox thing, and I don't know what to say, really. It's just such it's an amateurish mistake. But at least it wasn't written amateurishly. It was just a very stupid mistake that it's like, why did you not notice this? Like, so that's what it really did. That was really good. I hope you understand that if you do this, if you're writing your own story, you literally made the entire game hopelessly again. This is what remind me. Remember me. The message of the game, the ultimate overarching message of the game, doesn't make sense out of the context of the game, and that's because what is being said is so forced into the setting that you've specifically crafted, because remember, it's fiction and it's an artistic expression, and part of that message doesn't make sense because the game is that contrived. Again, if she didn't get the premonition, there was no video game. If the butterfly didn't fly over to the bucket, there is no video game. If she didn't magically develop time travel powers for whatever reason she did, which still isn't explained, which I could at least understand not explaining the time travel power stuff until it was literally her fault for everything. When she does not control anything, like, you can't push this message over about choice and matter and stuff. Like, I know I can't really say much because I actually haven't put anything out yet, but my magnum opus is literally about choice. Like, most of my stuff that I make and create, it's not about art. I don't have any artistic merit in it, really. I'm just trying to make something enjoyable. I write a novel, it's just to be enjoyable. It's a story that I want you to enjoy. There is artistic merit in there, but I don't care about it. My focus I'm not trying to give you a message, I'm trying to have you have fun. But my magnum opus is the thing that I literally, it's what artistic merit I have in it. It's all about choice. And you know what that means? You know the point. You know what's in my game? It's the fact that your choices affect stuff. There's multiple endings, not because I want multiple endings. It's because choices affect stuff. This isn't rocket science, okay? She didn't choose. You can't give me a thing about choice, because that's what this whole game is about. It's supposed to be about how your choice affects things. No, our choices don't affect anything, because we literally get one choice. We literally get one choice. We, as the players, control only one choice, and that is whether we kill or we save Chloe. That's it. That is it. Whether we kill or save Chloe. And you can't have a game about choice. You can't have me pretend that I'm affecting the narrative and then explain to me the entire reason we're playing the game is a continuity, time paradox, weird error thing in which, without the premonition, gaining the ability and then using the ability without her control or understanding, the entire game doesn't happen. I don't know what this says, because it could be saying that us as gamers are stupid people, because again, The Walking Dead was significantly worse than this, and it was praised as one of the best writing experiences, like games and 10 years, decades. One of the best writing things ever. So I don't know what this says. But this is still clearly one of the best written games of the last, I would say, 5 years. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misforgetting. I'm misremembering some things. Because, 999 came out in 2009, so it's more than 5 years. Just, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to react to that. I mean, again, your game doesn't happen. The entire message of your, I'm pretty sure what, the whole point of this stupid ending was to tell, I don't even know anymore. My brain cannot process this. You cannot talk about choice as if choice matters and then give us no choice. And then explain to us that no choice that we weren't, that one of the most important choices that happened in the entire game happened because no one, she didn't choose it. This was brought up in the thing, and this is another thing too. It's it was still pretty whiny with the dialogue, but I was like, whatever. She doesn't choose it. She had no way of choosing it. She didn't know. She had no way of knowing. So, I don't know. That's basically it. Kill Chloe, save Chloe. I mean, like I said, this could have been great. It really, really could have been. It could have been great. It could even made sense that Max's actions caused all this stuff. It really could have been, but it had to be in the hands of competent writers. It had to be in the hands of people that could plan this stuff out properly. This is the reason why a 5-state, an episodic game, is bad. Because a cohesive whole is a cohesive whole. The 5 episodes here are not cohesive. They're not a whole. Things have been changed. That's another reason why I don't like it. Another reason why is it's just for monetary gain. Of course, these guys are not independent developers, but they're smaller developers. They need more money, and that makes sense. And they make titles that people won't bound on. If you don't remember, Remember Me had a whole lot of a really hard time getting off the ground because guess what? It had a female protagonist, and that's still a very bad stigma because apparently gamers are sexist, which I know some of them are at least. But I know they need it, but you can't have episodic gaming unless you put a lot of effort into keeping everything a cohesive whole. You need to keep it into a cohesive whole. Because just imagine playing this straight through. Imagine you got Life is Strange today and you played it straight through. Episode 1 and Episode 2 flow together fairly well. Episode 3, kind of fairly well, but it's starting to disconnect. Episode 4 makes no sense in the scheme of everything. And then Episode 5 just makes Episode 4 look a little bit more cohesive between it and Episode 5. That's it. There's very little connecting the before and past. Tone-wise, there's very little connecting it. Content-wise, there's not a whole lot connecting it. It's just, the same things happen, the same dialogue things happen, the same principal puzzles and things happen, but it's a different product. And I don't understand, I don't know how to explain it better than I already have. You have a thing causing itself that her time travel, you can't have this predeterminism crap. Predeterminism works as a theoretical concept. Predeterminism works as all these different things. Predeterminism does work, but not as a narrative, not as an entire framing device for a story. Minority Report doesn't work because it has predeterminism in it and all this other different stuff. It really, really doesn't. What makes Minority Report work is the fact that it's a story about how predeterminism is sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing. But no, you can't have your entire game, the entire narrative of your game, kick off by something that can't kick it off because it's not in the play yet. Like, it's her ability to time travel causes the storm, and her ability to time travel was created because of a butterfly and the premonition about the effects of her time travel. We're stuck at that. I mean, it's not even a plot hole, because technically it could happen, just not the way it was set up. Not the way it was set up. So it's not technically a plot hole, and it's not contrived either, because again, it could happen. It's just it from the first 3 episodes, it doesn't make any sense that it was her powers doing it. Or else, why would it hurt her? Like, this isn't Gantz. At least with Gantz, it was an alien power being gifted to humans whose bodies was not adapted to that power. This isn't a girl who leapt through time where there was like a very, like, at least a defined time travel mechanic in it, where like you have so many uses for this thing. I don't know what I'm getting at. I really don't. I don't know. I think that's gonna be it, but it's just, yeah. I think it's not a plot hole. I wouldn't call it a plot hole, but it's desperately contrived, and that's what when your game for the first 3 episodes is pretty good, and there are plot holes in it, and there are some extreme contrivances, whatever you want to call it. But there's one plot hole in it, but at least it makes, from just a looking at the emotional aspect of the narrative, it makes some kind of sense. But even then, it's just a stupid continuity error of you not remembering that a revolver has 6 shots in it. When you only fire 4, and then you pull the trigger, you're shooting a guy because you have 2 more bullets in the gun. That's okay. I can deal with that. That's nitpicky of me. I mean, it's not nitpicky. That's an actual problem in the narrative. But at least I can look past it because I'm enjoying it. Okay, that's like I say it all the time. You can enjoy, not only can you enjoy bad stuff, but even bad stuff in something doesn't make it a bad experience. It would only just weaken it from a professional and from a high art standpoint, you know? Like, again, the fact that she didn't kill Frank doesn't bother me. It really, really doesn't bother me. But the fact that the entire game doesn't exist without that game forcing its own rules onto an already established world and then not going with those rules, that's where we have this problem. And I think I'm done. I've been talking for an hour, and I've just been ranting and raving and not making any sense. And I just, like I said, I was enjoying it. It was going to dark places, and I liked it. And there's a lot of different stuff I could have talked about. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to spend an hour talking about like the little minute details about what I liked about this, what I didn't like about that, and I'm like, oh, because it was aggressively anticlimactic. When Max, the way Max got out of was basically getting murdered. The way Max got out of getting murdered, it was aggressively anticlimactic. Because I was sitting there, I was hoping that'd be like a good 30, 40, 50 minute aspect of the game where I was just slowly trying to not get murdered, and then, but they take it away and you go somewhere else, and then bam, you're right back in there a little bit later, and I'm like, yes, I get what you're doing, and you're still doing it, not, I wouldn't call it incorrectly, but you're just not doing it the way I would have done it. But the fact is, that anticlimactic feeling is still there, and so the height you're building with the new stuff is less than it would have been if they were just pushed together. I don't know. I think I'm gonna be done because I'm rambling and I'm going on. But that's the point I'm trying to get across. No matter how much I still despise this game for so many reasons, it's still really, really good. Except for episode 4. Episode 4 is garbage. I still think episode 4 is worse. It's just it didn't make me as angry as episode 5 did, because episode 5 just made the entire discussion pointless. Because, like, why am I here thinking critically about a game that doesn't exist without itself existing in the first place, you know? So, yeah, that's about it. Thank you for listening.